Hello my dears, and welcome back to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I have another book talk video to share with you guys. And today we are talking about This Is Where We Talk Things Out by Marceau. Now this was a novella that I read in one sitting. This has been a good year for novellas. I think I've read, I don't know, probably half a dozen, and I've had no other reading year where I've read this many. This one I heard about, I think I heard Katie Colson talking about it recently. I think she did a reading vlog and it was part of it, and I was very intrigued. So basically what we have here, and it will be regular format, I'll give you a brief synopsis and then we'll move into the spoilers, so you can click away if you don't want to hear them. But basically what we have here is this woman named Miller. Her and her fiance are, you know, living their life in their condo, and they're happy. And Miller's mom has kind of come out of the woodwork wanting to try to reconnect and salvage their very fractured relationship. Miller cut her out of her life years ago after her father passed away after a very dark and sad fight with Alzheimer's. And after that, Miller had just kind of had to put her foot down, create a lot of firm boundaries. And she hasn't seen her in a long time. So now the mom's going to the woodwork. She's like, please come with me for a little weekend getaway. We can try to reconnect and see where things go from there. And, you know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But let's give it a try. Miller's fiance is against it right from the get-go. I think her name is Francesca. Something like that. And she's like, you don't have to do this. I don't think you should do this. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's going to go poorly. Can I talk you out of this? And Miller's like, I got to do this. Like, for me, for my own peace of mind, I need to know that I tried one last time. So then she's like, okay, go. So Miller tries to, when she's getting ready to go, her mom's coming to pick her up. She tries to avoid her mom being able to see which condo is hers, because in case this doesn't go well, she doesn't want her mom to have too much info about her, where she lives, all that. She even contemplates pulling the nameplate off the mailboxes, because the mailboxes have her name and which house she lives in. So anyway, she gets out there to the car, and together they go for this getaway weekend. That's really all I'll tell you before we get into spoilers, but let me just say that this is a story of grief, and the way that grief can really transform a person for the worse. And it's about, it's a thriller slash horror. It's a bit of both. It definitely kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time. I couldn't stop reading because I needed to know what was going to happen. And it definitely goes to some dark places towards the end, but it's not too scary, but it's definitely, there's a moment towards the end that's quite shocking. And it's the kind of moment that I saw coming. I knew we were leading up to this, but it still was quite shocking. Oh, sorry guys, as soon as I sat down to film, my allergies kicked in. Eyes are watering, everything, the whole bit. So, saw it coming, was still shocking. So that sounds interesting. Story of a mom and a daughter trying to reconnect against all odds when there's just been so much bad blood for so long between them. Definitely check it out. And like I said, quick read. You can get through it in one sitting. So she goes and gets in her mom's car. Together they start driving. She's like, hey, where are we going? I'd just like to text the address to my fiance so she knows where I am in case there's an emergency. And her mom's like, yeah, I don't quite know the address. She's like, well, tell me the town. Her mom's like, yeah, I don't quite know the town. I'll tell you when we get there. So she's like, okay. And she knows her mom has always disliked her fiance right from the get-go. And anyway, they drive, they get there. And the first thing that is incredibly off-putting when they get there is that Miller goes into the cabin with her mom. Sylvie is her mom, and she's immediately, her blood runs cold, because this cabin is decorated exactly like her childhood home. the same furniture, the same paint, same window coverings, like everything. And she's like, what the hell is this? So she like asked her mom. Her mom's like, oh, well, when your dad was sick, because like they had to sell their house and use all their savings for his treatments. She's like, but this stuff we just put in savings because, you know, we had hoped once he got better, we could buy a house again. And she's like, so that's what I've done. I've bought this. And Miller's like, you bought this? Like, you own this place? Because at first she's like, what's your landlord going to think? Or like, not even landlord. She thought it was just a weekend rental. So she's like, okay. I'm still feeling a little weird, but, you know, then feeling, you know, happy for a mom that she was able to buy a house. So her mom's like, here, let me wash your clothes for you. So she's like, okay. So her mom's like, you go on in. There's extra clothes in your room. And you give me those clothes and I'll wash them. So she's like, okay, I guess. So she goes in to put on some new clothes. And she's opening the drawers. And she's, once again, very alarmed because she figured it'd be like her mom's old clothes or something for her to put on. Or her old clothes that she left behind when she went to college. But it's not either of those things. It's replica clothes that she wore when she was a small child, like 5 and 6 years old, that her mother must have like handmade for her. And she's like, what is happening here? And she's getting really like off-put by this whole thing, as you would. So her mom's acting very strange. You know, they're fighting. Her mom's making those passive-aggressive comments that, you know, like, oh, you've put on weight since I last saw you. Like, just little digs, and it's really getting under Miller's skin. And she's like, you know, I came here to try to, you know, talk to you and have a fresh start. And this, I did not sign up for this. Like, don't talk about my body. Don't talk about anything that's none of your business. And she's really irritated, right? So eventually she goes to check on the next morning comes. She goes to get her normal clothes out of the machine because she doesn't want to wear this like adult-sized toddler clothes anymore. And she goes and she finds that the clothes haven't been put in a dryer. Not only that, they're in the washing machine. They're soaking wet, like the spin cycle didn't go through. And she notices that they're bleached and cut up. She's like, what in God's name is going on? So she's like, Mom. Or Sylvie. That's another point of contention. She keeps calling her Sylvie, and that makes Sylvie very upset. She's like, I am your mother. Don't call me Sylvie. So her mom's like, I have no idea. She's like, I don't know what's going on. She's like, I put this detergent in, and she holds up a bottle of bleach. And then Miller's like, that's bleach. That's not detergent. Her mom's like, whoops, I must have accidentally put it in. So things are just weird. She keeps trying to contact Francesca. Is that her name, Francesca? I think so. To give her the details of where she's staying, but the texts won't go through, the calls won't go through, nothing. So her mom wants to go out in the snow, go snowshoeing or skiing. I think snowshoeing. And so they go out and because before that, you know, they're having a fight. And Sylvie's like, I thought you were going to try, please. I just want the three of us to be a family. And this softens Miller because she thinks that her mom's talking about her and Miller and Miller's fiance. So she's like, wow, okay. Like in her mind, she's like, okay, my mother's obviously trying. So I'm going to try too. So they go out snowshoeing. And, you know, it's going fine until there's an accident. They start fighting again, and Sylvie pushes Miller, and Miller, like, she falls, and she's cut on ice, and she's bleeding, and her leg is busted, and she can feel that her face must also be busted. So Sylvie's trying to get Miller home. And it's quite a kerfuffle. But she gets her home, and then I can't quite remember the order of things because it was so short and I was reading it so fast to get to it, but they're at the house. Miller goes into her mother's bedroom because she's noticed a smell in the air this whole time. She goes into her mother's bedroom and she finds her father's dead body sitting on the bed. And like, I was waiting for that. I knew that was coming. The whole time I knew that was coming. And like, he's like wearing the clothes he was wearing at the funeral, like the whole thing. It's very horrifying. And Miller, she freaks out and she's like, she grabs a pillowcase and she's trying to like strangle her mom with it. She's not trying to kill her, but she's just trying to like knock her out so she can get out of there because she knows she needs to go to the hospital. She knows her knee is busted and she finally got a look in the mirror at her face and it is cut. It is shredded from the ice. So she's like, oh my God. So she manages to knock her mother out. She tries to get going. She gives one last glance back at her father before she runs. She finds the keys to her mom's car. She goes. She's trying to get out of there, but it's so icy. It's a huge whiteout snowstorm. She gets in an accident, like she hits a tree, and then everything goes black. So then the final scene is she wakes up and she's being like, someone's talking to her softly and she's being like cleaned. And so at first you think maybe she's at a hospital, but no. Her mother has dragged her back to the house. And she's like, oh, my little sweetheart, like, I'm going to take care of you forever. Like, you don't have to worry. Everything's going to be fine now. Like, you're with me and your dad. Like, he was so worried about you, but everything's going to be fine now. So her mother finishes bathing her and then gets her out and then puts her in the bed with her father. And then the mom climbs in too and she's like, oh, just when you were little and you'd have a nightmare. And that's the end. That was the end. It was wild. It was wild. It was wild. Like I said, quick read, fast paced, very short, like less than 100 pages. But it packed quite a punch. So that's going to do it for me for today. That I just, hop on here and sprinkle something horrific into your holiday season. And thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you again tomorrow with another Vlogmas video. Bye, guys.